Late yesterday afternoon, the City of Toronto discovered that we had purchased more than $200,000 worth of surgical masks that do not meet the specifications the City requires for such masks. Immediately, upon becoming aware of this situation, we took action and recalled the masks. 4,000 boxes containing 50 masks per box were received on March 27th and placed into inventory. On March 28th, 1,252 boxes, totaling 62,600 masks, were distributed to the city's long-term care homes as part of the city's normal personal protective equipment inventory and supply process. After receiving reports of these masks ripping and tearing, a further inspection of the mask determined that the masks ordered did not meet the city standards and specs. The city's occupational health and safety team are engaged, and we are conducting an investigation to determine how many employees may have used these masks and if there was possible exposure to COVID-19 as a result. The masks are being returned, and the vendor has committed to a full refund. The city is now relying on its remaining stock of surgical masks while replacement masks can be purchased. The acquisition of replacement masks will happen on a priority basis. The province of Ontario has been made aware and have been asked to help us expedite this order. The city has also undertaken an additional quality control review of its supply chain process, and all future orders of personal protective equipment will now undergo additional scrutiny and verification in order to ensure the product that we receive meet the specifications ordered. The supply of quality personal protective equipment in a timely manner is a known concern not only in Toronto but around the world. All efforts are being made by all levels of government to ensure the products being shipped and received meet the established standards.
Thank you, Chief. We'll now go to questions. Reminder, 2 questions. We have a number of reporters today who are online. First is Matt Bingley from Global News. Matt, go ahead.
Chief Pegg, I'm just wondering, in regards to the masks, you said last week that you were having difficulty finding sources that were not fraudulent. So I'm just wondering if you could tell me, when it comes to PPE, how many other shipments that you have had in the past couple of weeks, and if the city is reviewing those now based on this revelation with the masks.
Sure, thanks Matt for the question. You're exactly correct. We know that the issue of fraudulent and I'll say poor quality personal protective equipment is an issue around the world. So certainly something that has now affected the City of Toronto but is affecting all of our colleagues not only in Ontario and Canada but globally. I will say that we have been fortunate, if you will. To my knowledge, this is the only shipment of personal protective equipment for which we've had concerns to date. And like I said, Matt, in my remarks, we have already actually escalated and increased our goods receipt process, if you will. And important to note that it's actually sad that we have to take those additional steps. But unfortunately, with the global supply chain being what it is, we just have no choice but to go through the additional work and to add the additional steps to undertake additional physical inspections and additional verifications that under normal circumstances would not be required. But we're doing that on the basis of taking every precaution reasonable and everything available to us to ensure that our supply of personal protective equipment is of high quality, and that was implemented as of last night and will continue.
And Dr. de Villa, I'm just wondering if, while you inspect how many staff members may have been wearing these masks at long-term care homes, have you taken any staff out of circulation or off duty while you test and make sure that they're not spreading this around?
So, Matt, as it turns out, because that's an issue that involves staff, that falls largely within the realm of occupational health and safety. Certainly at Public Health, we're concerned around infection prevention and control within the context of long-term care homes, But at this moment in time, right now, the efforts are focused on staff, and the lead is our occupational health and safety colleagues. As public health, we're here to support, any conditions within the facility with a focus on infection prevention and control.
I have some questions from Marika since she was next. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask
Yes,
those
please,
and ask
that
my
would be
questions.
wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, so from Marika, and I think this is probably for Chief Pegg or for Dr. de Villa, how many of the long-term care homes that got masks have cases of COVID confirmed?
So I'm afraid I don't have those details. We can certainly get them for you, Jennifer.
Okay, yeah, if you could, if maybe Brad could send those to Marika. And
Yep.
and also, do you know how many days supply of PPE the city currently has with those masks having been recalled?
Hi, Jennifer, it's Chief Pegg. I can tell you that the masks that I spoke about, the substandard masks, if you will, represented about 50% of our surgical mask inventory. So with the loss of those masks, we're estimating right now at the demand levels we've seen at the start of the week, with about a 2 to 3 week supply remaining. I will say, and important to note though, that all other aspects of our personal protective equipment, other forms of masks and our other PPE articles are sitting right now based on current demands at approximately 6 to 8 weeks of supply.
And just my own questions, I'm wondering, you mentioned that you've stepped up the checks of those masks, but I'm wondering what checks were in place when those masks went out?
Sure. So the normal process, as you can appreciate, is what would be customary within any warehouse and inventory supply chain management process. So that's goods received, they're put in inventory, they're tracked, and then they're issued on an
There's something that's just come down for us?
on demand basis. The additional checks that we're putting in place really deals with some additional product quality verification through some of our specification engineers. We'll be taking an additional look at the product received, which will physically mean looking at it, doing some specification comparison, all on the incoming or the goods received side, such that we can satisfy ourselves that the incoming PPE is of sufficient quality that meets the city specification.
And just about, again, about PPE, but for shelter workers, I know that there have been additional cases where I'm hearing that shelter workers have been confirmed positive. I don't know if that's been confirmed yet in the city's numbers, but what is the update on whether those workers, including harm reduction workers, will have access to PPE?
So I can start anyways and say that, like I said, our present PPE inventory is stable, notwithstanding the fact that the loss of these defective masks obviously impacts our inventory. But like I said, at present consumption rates across the city, we are resourced with approximately 2 to 3 weeks of PPE inventory based on our current rates.
Okay, thank you.